Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. We're on a mission to bring more financial and real wealth to everyone. Thanks for being here. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently trading at 46,831, down 0.17%. Ethereum trading at 3396, up 5.71%. I've hidden knowledge gems throughout this video. Unless you watch to the end, you'll miss them. See how many you can find. Our community is all about real wealth. Real wealth is about fulfillment and meaning, confidence, inner and outer peace, happiness. It's much more than money. We're focused on accumulating both. Lots of security and lots of meaning. Rule 306. Self-doubt causes losses. This is really true in trading and investing, and also true in life. I'd like to talk to you today about negative wealth and how negative wealth is literally the past stealing from the future. In the past, things don't go as any of us would like. There is always guilt and shame and blame and regret and disappointment and anger. All sorts of things go into our past. The problem is those various issues are actually creating negative wealth. They're stealing from our future. Literally, the things that we believe on the inside can change what we achieve in the external world. It's really important to identify negative wealth and delete it. Delete a negative, makes it a positive. When you have negative wealth, what happens is it's easy to not take action, to have sleepless nights filled with worry and anxiety, wanting too much too quickly, having unrealistic expectations. This is how it applies to trading and investing. It also applies that way to life. William Shakespeare said, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we often might win by fearing to attempt." How true. William was talking about negative wealth. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd US president, said, "The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Let us move forward in action and faith." It's really helpful to understand that your actions always grow something. Self-doubt grows negative wealth. Self-doubt is not so good. Growing positive wealth, real wealth, is what our community is all about. Rule 306, self-doubt causes losses. Hopefully that will make a little bit more sense. Self-doubt, all those factors that influence negative wealth are really, really bad. Becoming aware of self-doubt is absolutely the first stage to conquer these losses and convert losses into profits and, of course, a better life for yourself and those you love. I'd like to say thank you to the very beautiful and generous members of our community who reached out and bought me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cryptotradingks. I love reading what you put there. It's so very, very touching. Thank you so much. Rule 174, T-cube method, trend, timing and trigger. We're going to look at trend using the KS process for the true trend. To do this, we're going to use rule 171, zoom out. First, we start with the zoomed out view of investment substitutability. The S&P 500 up 27% for the past year. Gold down 7%. We can see gold improving. Bitcoin up 301% for the past 12 months. Investors and traders seeing returns like this in the cryptocurrency space will get very excited and want to enter. So it's really important to understand how crowd psychology creates price. Rule 111 is that crowd psychology actually creates price. All markets are subject to euphoria and capitulation. Euphoria is this blue area here we're looking at Bitcoin net unrealized profit and loss, NUPL. When we get up into this euphoric state, what's happened is the price has gone literally up a wall and it becomes unsustainable. When there's euphoria in markets, for example, irrational exuberance, markets soon need to correct because those levels are unsustainable. We also have the negative of euphoria, which is called capitulation. Capitulation can occur in black swan events. This was the US liquidity crisis and the COVID-19 shutdown of the world. This was just the capitulation of the normal bear market that occurred here. If we look at the current price data, we're a long way away from the euphoria and we're in the right phase of the bull market. When we look at the technological adoption curve for crypto, we can see crypto is growing really quickly, growing far more quickly than the internet ever did. This is the internet growth rate, the adoption rate. From 1992 to 2006, I know our long-time members of the community know this, but I actually ran and operated an internet service provider in 1993. That's quite a long time ago. I was there as the internet was being adopted, and it's so fascinating to see the parallels with crypto. To understand crypto's cycle, we turn to the KS model, which is a crypto technical trading model based on institutional price psychology. There are three phases of market action. The bull market psychology, where we've got rockets taking off and hitting the moon. Everything's going to the moon. And then when the rocket finally hits the moon says, "Get out of here, rocket, go back to Earth." And that starts the bear market. When the rocket finally touches down after capitulation, that hammers in the bear market low and consolidation begins. You'll notice these lightning bolts all over the place in this diagram. They are black swan events. We had 3 black swan events in the recent run-up to the current price. We literally had 3 black swan events that crushed the price recently. One was the liquidity blow-off. What happened was the central governments all around the world printed so much money that so much profit was earned in the crypto space, it had to be normalized. That caused that 50% reduction. We also had the China miner exodus, and this ramping up in price caused the price cycle indicator to cross, and that was pretty concerning for a lot in the crypto market. But what happened was literally we had, for example, here on the 12th of March 2020, we had Black Thursday, COVID, the impacts of that, and the US liquidity crisis, which basically crushed Bitcoin and cryptos and the markets around the world. The response to that was the excess printing of money that caused this secondary crash. What we've seen is price is just now normalizing. It's getting back on track. A lot of commentators view these black swan events, crashes and blow-offs, as part of normal price action. They are absolutely not a part of normal price action. They need to be normalized. Another thing you might see is people comparing dissimilar psychologies. For example, the optimism of increasing prices in bull markets to the pessimism and depression of prices going towards 85% reductions in the bear market. They're incomparable states. It's really important to understand that. For many years, I lectured first and second year statistics. It's really important to look at price action in a very, very specific way. If we don't compare apples to apples, we end up with fruit salad. It's something mathematically that doesn't make much sense. The other thing to bear in mind, this particular chart that you're looking at is really the public adoption of the Internet of Money. That's the next evolution in the internet. It's like you're owning Facebook and Amazon stocks and eBay and PayPal when they literally were just created. It's not like you're owning something other than that. You're really, really early. Now, why do I say that? There's about $69.3 billion worth of Bitcoin circulating around public companies, countries, private companies, and ETFs. Wow, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It's only 7% of the total supply that can be put into the market at 21 million Bitcoins. It's literally nothing. What happens when this doubles to 14% or triples or quadruples? What happens there? Pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? Look at this really interesting one. Countries, 259,870 Bitcoins they own. Oh, nice. $12.2 billion. There must be a lot of countries there. Let's check it out. What? Only Bulgaria and Ukraine? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Around 260,000 Bitcoin. But how many countries are in the world? We've got 2 here. How many could adopt Bitcoin and crypto? 195 countries in the world. That's interesting. We can see that only 2 countries have adopted Bitcoin in terms of what is measured here on Bitcoin treasuries, if you want to check that site out. It's really interesting that the countries only have 1.237% of that 21 million max cap in Bitcoin. Wow. Imagine when countries do mass adoption, where is price going to go then? And you know how Bitcoin impacts the price of all of the crypto space. Let's just zoom in a little bit on the KS model to the current month's price potential action based off past cycles. We're about here in terms of the previous 2016 halving cycle bull run. We could expect kind of price behavior like this. It would be very reasonable. It's happened in the past, and there's no reason it wouldn't happen again. We could expect a little bit of turbulence around here. I was warning about this for quite a long time. Things do tend to move up and down. Everything is always moving in a wave. This is just a really fantastic opportunity to lower your average buy price. And if you think about adoption across the world, wow, we are so early. It's also really important for us to look across the globe in terms of health impacts. We can see cases for the virus in the last 7 days, 4,583,347. It's a much lower week-on-week change, just 0.1% positive. That's really good. We notice some negative reductions, some reductions on the weekly growth of cases. That is absolutely fantastic. That's what we're looking for. Looking around the world in terms of vaccinations, we can see 39.46% is either fully or partially vaccinated. Let's turn now to global market indexes. It's really important to deal with problems when they occur and not before. Looking across the global markets in the past 24 hours, we can see India did well, China came up, as did Japan, and Mexico did really well. We can see Australia not so well, Sweden a little bit down, Norway quite a bit down, and Brazil also under negative price pressure, some negative in Russia as well, and the US and Canada. We can see from a sector performance that all sectors in the US market were just down literally 0.13%. Best performing real estate and consumer discretionary, worst performing energy and information technology. Now looking at the major market indexes, the Nasdaq came up a little bit. The inverse VIX, this shows that fear is increasing in the market. The S&P 500 came up a little bit, Bitcoin went down, Dow Jones came up a little, and the Russell 2000 came up a little bit in the past session as well. Looking at the DXY, the US dollar currency index versus Bitcoin, we can see the DXY is maintaining its upward path here. Bitcoin is going down a little bit, but we can see quite a good correlation between the DXY and Bitcoin at the current point of this cycle. Looking at Bitcoin and comparing it to the metals and the inverted DXY, we can see silver came down, gold has been going up, just had a small retracement, copper had a small retracement too, palladium is coming up, platinum is also coming up. Looking at Bitcoin compared to bonds, we can see the TLT, the 20 plus year, came down, as did the 7 to 10 year, which is the IEF, and the 10 to 20 year, which is the TLH. They all came down, as did the 3 to 7 year, the IEI, came down, as well as the 1 to 3 years, the SHY, SHY. They all decreased. Let's have a look at Bitcoin versus the bond yields. What we can see is the CBOE 10-year Treasury bond yield, the TNX, upticked in the last session. The 30-year T-bond yield, the TYX, also upticked. And the 0 to 5 year high-yield corporate debt, the SHY-G, it's shy, it's very shy, it's been on a pump. You can also notice the correlation here. Look at how the yields are literally following Bitcoin's price action at the moment. We can see a bottoming out here and an uptrend being established. That's really good for Bitcoin. There is a correlation here, I think quite a strong association too. Inflation gets a lot of discussion in the news. Let's have a look how Bitcoin is relating to the forward inflation rate, the break-even inflation rate. What we can see, the break-even inflation rate on both the 5 and 10 year basis went down and came up. We can see Bitcoin went down and came up. There's a good positive correlation between these two things. What are we noticing? There's a slight decrease in the 5 and 10 year, but this trend is still established, as is this for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at how Bitcoin compares to the transport indexes and airlines. We can see the transportation indexes and the airlines index was coming down. It's basically bottoming out here and starting to come up. That's really healthy stuff. We notice an association between Bitcoin and the transportation indexes too. Let's have a look at Bitcoin versus Brent oil and crude oil. We can see that Brent oil and crude oil have somewhat of an opposite correlation to each other. You can see that through this pattern here. This is all part of the pattern recognition side of trading and investing. We can see Bitcoin came down a little, Brent oil came down a lot, and crude went up a little bit. This analysis is really related to Rule 109, Enhance Pattern Recognition. Pattern recognition is an incredible skill to have. Each day I try to build that with you by showing you all sorts of different charts to train your eye and increase your awareness of the different types of relationships that can exist between variables. Let's now have a look at the crypto stocks. Let's have a look at Bitcoin versus the Bitcoin ETFs. The first thing that we draw the eye to is Bitcoin over the past 365 days, this is this scale, has increased 306.85%. You can see it's live data. The better performing one was BitW, the Bitwise 10 cryptos. We can see underneath that QBTC at 293.29%, 21XB at 280.62%, GBTC at 179.16%, GDLC at 152.37%, BTC, the 9-point Bitcoin ETF at 47.21%, BTC again, CoinShares physical Bitcoin from the Swiss, 29% up, then followed by BTCC.B, BTCX.B, which is CI Galaxy Bitcoin ETF, and then EBIT, and then lastly OBTC, the Osprey Bitcoin Trust. Let's have a quick look into the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. GDLC holds Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Chainlink. Let's analyze all of those together. Before we get into that, Rule 45 is really important. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. This means that the alts to Bitcoin, the other alternative cryptos, move in directional bias with Bitcoin. Turning to a weekly chart analysis of Bitcoin, we can see the support up through here supporting Bitcoin's price. Even if Bitcoin was to come down to 38,000, it would still be supported by this weekly trend line, weekly support. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum has a very strong weekly support line coming up. We see that Ethereum is over this resistance. It's doing quite well, seeking to overcome its all-time previous high. Cardano, ADA is doing really well. We can see this upward support line, a secondary support line here. And we can see that price has been doing very well. ADA is into price discovery currently. Bitcoin Cash has not been performing so well. We can see a very good support line that held that price. What happens is when Bitcoin comes down, all of the alts come down disproportionately so. Bitcoin comes down less, the alts come down more. But when Bitcoin goes up, the alts go up far more. That's the trade-off. Timing is important, as is time in the market. Bitcoin Cash, we can see, is quite below its previous all-time high, quite different to Ethereum and ADA, which is above. This is all part of that pattern recognition. Chainlink, we can see Chainlink has a support line running in here across the weekly. It also has another one running through here as well. It's overcome resistance. It's had very nice positive movement up, but still quite below its previous all-time high. Turning now to Litecoin. Litecoin had very strong and solid support here. It has a takeoff line here. What we're seeing is Litecoin has overcome this resistance and is being supported from this line and this line. Any retracement will be in sync with any retracement in Bitcoin. That's why we always put this Bitcoin's fingerprint that you can see in the background behind the chart. It's one thing for me to say Bitcoin's gravity will impact alts. It's another thing to see it with your own eye. Let's now have a look at Bitcoin versus public companies with Bitcoin exposure. We can see over the past 2 weeks, Marathon Digital is in the leading position, up 32.39%. HUD 8 Mining Group up 30.81%. Argo Blockchain, ARB, up 20.51%. Riot up 17.23%. SI Silvergate Capital Corporation up 16.36%. BT Bit Digital up 14.48%. Hive Blockchain HVBT up 14.03%. Coinbase Global up 5.97%. MicroStrategy up 5.74%. Bitfarms BitF up 4.44%. Voyager Digital up 4.18%. and Bitcoin up 4.2%. The laggards underneath Bitcoin were Voyager Digital up 4.18%, ADE, the Bitcoin Group SE, down 1.86%, and Galaxy Digital GLXY down 2.73%. When I look at this analysis, I see three very interesting things. If we look at this, Voyager Digital has come up, Argo blockchain has come up very steeply, and HUT8 has been decreasing. Really interesting stuff. Looking at Bitcoin, comparing it to the public companies with Bitcoin exposure over the past year, the best performers were Argo blockchain, ARB, followed by Voyager Digital, VYGR, then Bitfarms, BitF, Marathon Digital, Mara, Riot Blockchain, Riot, HUT8, HVBT, Hive Blockchain, SI, Silvergate Capital Corporation, MicroStrategy, MSTR, Galaxy Digital, GLXY, then Bitcoin, then Bitcoin Digital, BTBT, ADE, the Bitcoin Group SE, and last place, Coinbase Global. Each episode, I try to help the community as best I can. I read through a lot of comments from YouTube and other sources, and I try to layer in answers to those questions. If you have any questions or you would like me to cover off, please leave a comment on YouTube. I would be really happy to cover that in future episodes. I layer them in where they're appropriate, and I always read all the comments on YouTube especially, so please let me know. The Crypto Trading KS community is on a mission to bring more financial and real wealth to everyone. I hope you found the content useful. Please consider sharing this video if you think it will help others. Thank you to our moderators and admins for keeping our community safe from scammers. If you're new to the channel, please say hi and let me know where you're viewing from, and of course if you have any questions. If you would like updates on price movements in the crypto market, please subscribe to YouTube, and you can join us on Facebook and Discord. We've got free groups there. You can also follow me and direct message me on Twitter. I've left details in the description of this video. Crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, take care, and see you next time. Bye for now.